What I thought was, when it started that loud, that the Jets had come early for the national anthem for the first 5 seconds.
At the time that the noise started from the earthquake itself, I really thought it was the fans in the stands stomping their feet.
And after about 4 or 5 seconds, then you start to feel it. And then you start to see it. And you look out where that, through your line of vision, the end of the grandstand is, and it's like rippling.
I was really looking forward to playing the ball game, and then I think it was 5:04, 5:07, something like that. That's when the earthquake hit, and put it on the back burner in a hurry.
At second base, so the Oakland A's take.
Tell you what, we're having an
I didn't know if we were on the air or off the air. In fact, at one point I said, I don't know if we're on or off the air, and frankly, at this point, I don't think I care.
My immediate reaction was no harm done, little tremor. I, in fact, even called home to my wife back here in Bristol, thinking, let me just check in at home, not knowing what had really been going on down in the city.
Northern California has just suffered its most severe earthquake since 1906.
The gates in center field opened, and in my mind it seems like 20 to 30 squad cars came in, and over the PA were saying, you know, because of the earthquake the game has been postponed. At that point it was like, wow, I think, you know, something really bad has happened here.
Shut off the gas, shut off electricity, store water, prepare for aftershocks, prepare for 3 days of no services. You got 90 minutes of light left. You better make use of your time.
This is a tape picture from Connecticut. They're going to roll it of what has now occurred within the last several minutes, and there it is, oh my Lord. There was just a snowballing sense that this is a major disaster. This is not a postponed baseball game. This is not the World Series off its schedule. This is big. We are feeling a shock right now.
Only when I saw some of the television news and realized that this was an enormous event in that part of the world did I realize that we were in the middle of a major crisis.
I found it very ironic, having lived here for a number of years in the area and understanding the mentality of people here in this area, when the national press, almost to a man or woman, were trying to say the World Series should be canceled. I felt it was unbelievably sanctimonious, because I knew what the people of the Bay Area wanted was a resumption of the World Series.
We decided that we were going to play the other two games in tribute to the people that lost their lives, the people that lost their homes, and or lost family members, that, you know, to give respect to them.
When it did resume, they had a lot of the policemen, the firemen, the paramedics, everybody out there on the field throwing first pitches out at the same time, which really helped bond the Bay Area together. This Bay Bridge World Series could be used to show the rest of the country, that maybe even the rest of the world, that you can survive something like this. You can make this thing work.
I was sitting 5 rows from the top of Candlestick Park when that earthquake hit. Peter Gammon's back with his line from Atlanta. You were even higher than that. What occurs to me is just the timing of this in a baseball sense, all the anticipation building for Game 3 of that series, and suddenly none of that mattered.
No, it didn't at all, Bob. I mean, Joe Torre and I were just talking about that because we were in the football press box right above the stands there. And there was all that feeling all of a sudden that what in the world is happening around us. But looking back on it 10 years later, just think of what it really meant. If it had not been the third game of that Bay Bridge series, there would have been so many more, thousands more killed on the Cypress structure in Seattle, in Oakland. Most people were home preparing to watch the game. I also remember the memory, and I think that more than any other memory I have is going underneath that Cypress structure with Dave Stewart, who was such a giant hero in that community, and going around bringing coffee to all the workers, searching for all the bodies.
You talk about fortunate occurrences. Of course, Candlestick Park just recently before that earthquake, it had the wind baffle, which is the structure around the top, reinforced. There was every opportunity to believe that if that quake had occurred earlier, there would have been catastrophic problems at the park. The decision to play on, when Fay Vincent made that decision, Peter, he invoked Churchill's decision back during World War II to keep the cinemas open so that life would continue. There'd be some normality. And that was really the moment that brought Fay Vincent into the national limelight. He had just recently become a commissioner, and it was a decision that at the time was under criticism.
Well, I think actually Matt Williams said it very well. And I mean, it was a very important decision. First of all, baseball did end up saving a lot of lives, as I mentioned at that period. But they also needed something in that area. This was not to be cathartic for people in Chicago or New York or Minnesota. This was very important for people in that Bay Area. And I really think that the anticipation of coming back, while it diminished the World Series, and it probably really took a great deal away from the one World Championship of that A's team, it still meant a great deal to all the people who had to live through all this.
10 years. I can't help but see that footage and feel very uneasy about it. But, Peter, thank you for sharing those memories tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Jason?
Gentlemen,